That's why they don't let drivers work on race cars. They'll let us take stuff apart, but putting it together is always a bit challenging. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. So Jimmie Johnson is in the media center. Six-time champion, won here a few times. Who would like to start?
Can you get him to come up, please?
He's present. Can't wait to give Kerry a hard time over this one.
I'm not sure who's supposed to run this, but I'll do it.
No problem. Oh, we're good. I can fire away.
Jimmie Johnson, as he mentioned, six-time champion. My name's Pat Warren. I'm president of Kansas Speedway.
And board post, whatever
How
those
long
things
do we
are.
have you this morning?
I don't have a clue. Till she gives us the eyes.
Okay, we have a few minutes, so who's going to take the first question? Front row.
Jimmy, Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. Until you win a race this year, the first question everybody's going to ask is, when are you going to win a race?
Yep.
Taking it from a different perspective, what do you say to your fans who might be concerned that you haven't won yet, and how do you walk them off the ledge?
Until we're not locked in, I mean, there's nothing to worry about. Where we sit in points right now, we're locked in. And of course we want to win. We want to win every race we go to. We've been in the ballpark and been very close to victory a couple times, and it got away. And then, yes, there have been some poor performances. So we're trying to raise that. I don't think that we're where we want to be as a team right now, but we've had a few looks at wins, and I know we'll get a few more, and we just need to capitalize on that. And if not, points still matter. You know, there's a bigger window to make the chase today than there was last year. Last year was 12, this year it's 16. So I don't think there's anything to stress out about yet.
The computer technician in the third to the last row.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Talk about the spin last week and you and Chad and the tension, or how you kind of get over that. You've been through so much in racing, it's sort of like a blip on the radar, but how does it all come down after all of that last week within the team?
Well, really last week was just plate racing. I mean, we had a very fast race car, and felt like a car that I could create opportunities to pass and win, and you know, was very, very pleased with how the day was going. We got caught up in the first big wreck and did some damage to the car. Then after that, the second wreck was me spinning out, and I'm still assuming with the right side damage we had on the car that that was a big factor as to why I just spun out. And then we fixed the car from there, and I was racing through the field again. I got clobbered at the start-finish line taking the white flag, so, and broke the right front suspension. So it's just plate racing, and it's easy to write it off to plate racing when the championship's not on the line at Talladega. When we go back, you know, in the fall, it's a much different race for us all, but you know, we made it. Our big thing is let's at least see the white flag. If we make it to the white flag, we're happy. Dale Jr.'s kind of instilled that in our race shop, and we saw the white flag, so that was cool. No, we're going. I mean, Chad isn't happy unless we're winning races. We all know that. So he certainly has had some sleepless nights. We tested last week in Nashville. We're working hard, you know. And Chad's not one. Chad doesn't have an outbound filter. When he hits the button or when he speaks, there is nothing slowing down his honest opinion. And you know, at 13 years of working with him, you know, it's family. That stuff doesn't bother me.
Mike Massaro, ESPN. I want to go back to last week, too. In particular, I want to focus on the incident with Brad. There's been a lot of talk this week about the way he was driving at that particular point in time. I just want to get the veteran's perspective on what the code is and your thoughts on what did transpire there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough position to be in. You have to think with 6 laps, being 6 laps down, you're not going to get back on a lead lap. You know, there is an opinion that you're on the racetrack, you deserve a right to go race regardless of how many laps down you are. And I'm sure that's probably a smaller percentage of people have that opinion. You know, it's very easy when you're caught up in that wreck to go, why were you racing? You're 6 laps down. So it just depends on where you were. You know, if you're a 2 fan or Brad, you're probably over here. If you're one of the drivers of the fan base that was caught up in the wreck, you're probably in the majority and thinking it wasn't right to race then. You know, but 6 laps down, me personally, I would have just been riding and tried to save our race car from getting torn up and, you know, just sit there at the back of the pack.
From a respect point of view, does Brad need to kind of earn more respect now because of what did transpire? Or, I mean, or is this just water under the bridge?
You know, nobody intentionally tries to crash take out other race cars. I personally think that what happened in Talladega just falls into that restrictor plate bucket that, you know, we just kind of overlook a lot of things that take place at plate tracks. And then you move on and you go to a normal downforce track and race. So yes, cars were crashed, but it's not like, you know, just using obviously Brad as the example, it's not like he went into the corner and just dumped somebody and there's going to be retaliation for a move like that. You know, it's plate racing, and you just, again, throw it in the plate bucket and move on.
Ready?
Hi, Jimmy. John Householder, NASCAR Productions. And kind of looking ahead a little bit, you've obviously had a lot of success at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And going into the All-Star race next week, what are you and your team doing to gain yet even another victory in the All-Star race, and then using that race to help you guys in the Coke 600?
Yeah, we've been able to get the All-Star portion under control the last few years. Lacked a little bit in the 600, although you know, we still had decent finishes. But you race, and that's the fun thing about it. You don't have the pressure of championship points or now a race win to make the chase weighing on your shoulders. So you can be more aggressive with setups, you can be more aggressive with the engine package, you can be more aggressive with how you drive, pit stop calls, going over the wall, you know, all those things. It just gives us a chance to be more free with decisions that we make, and that's fun. And then the big prize at the end of the day, it's one of our best paying races, and you know, Mama can buy a lot of shoes after you win that race.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Jimmy, you know, you've talked about this in the past, but once a team reaches a certain level of success, and you guys have obviously set the bar really, really high, what are the difficulties at maintaining that success? And obviously with people wondering when you're going to win again, you know, you kind of set yourself up for failure almost. But what are the difficulties from a team's perspective at maintaining that?
Yeah, a successful team can sometimes be their own worst enemy, you know, with expectations that are set in that respect. But we've been through, you know, dry spells before, and, you know, 10 to 12 race dry spell isn't a very long one, period. But, you know, we have set an expectation that's less than that. So I get it. I understand. You know, if we didn't have any looks at wins this year, I would have a much different opinion. I still feel that we're extremely competitive, and I feel as an individual I'm a better race car driver today than I was last year. And I just keep learning more and experiencing more and add that to my kind of repertoire of things to do. Our team is as strong as it's ever been. Our teammates are all running very well this year. Our relationship with Stewart Haas, those cars are quick. So everything's there, and we just need to own this new rules package and find the 48 setup in it. And that's what we're searching for. And at some tracks we've been close, and others not so much. But you know, our drive to compete it really exists within, you know, Chad as an individual and me as an individual, and that hasn't changed one bit. You know, we're still as hungry as we have ever been. There's no guarantee that success will be as it was in the past, you know, but we're going to show up and give 100% each week, and I know we'll win our fair share of races. We'll make chases and certainly be a threat for championships.
We've got time for 3 more questions, so we'll go here and then we'll go back to Nick.
Rob
Glad you
Collins,
showed up, Kerry.
Fox
Appreciate
4
it,
Station here. Uh-oh.
And he's still eating.
I've been trumped by
Hell, we've been in here 20 minutes.
I know, I've been trying, I was got in an argument about you over there in the garage.
Did you win?
Yeah.
Did Jimmy win?
I think this shows this is where we are right now. This is a great track.
Finish your breakfast, buddy.
Jimmy, Rob Collins from the local Fox affiliate here. Speaking about the track, talk about the first time night racing here. I know it's big for the fans. You guys have obviously been here during the day, but what approach and what challenges is there on a track for the first time at night?
Just understanding, and we know we're going to pick up grip. Some tracks lead towards more front percentage. Other tracks, it's more rear percentage. Don't know why, but the balance changes. Some tracks, we know as the night wears on, you're gonna get looser, and then and that's probably more the standard. But there are a few tracks that go the other way. So we'll kind of take our best guess moving forward and look at past notes, and when the track surface is cool, where is the balance? And then through our day practice sessions, you know, take that into consideration as we set up for the race. but we're back on a tire that we're familiar with. The new surface has had a few races on it, so I don't think there's going to be any big concerns or questions, that kind of pop up. So it's just about sorting out the new rules package and getting to work. And I think night racing is great for our fan base. It's tough for the teams and drivers because we're so used to a Sunday format and what happens. So we sit around, a lot in the morning, and the crew goes to work, and the drivers sit and wait, and then it's finally time to go. But if the fans are smiling, and hopefully they'll show their support by coming out and tuning in Saturday night on television. Yep.
Okay. One more after this.
Nick Bromberg, Yahoo Sports. The term points racing gets thrown around a lot, but it doesn't seem to have a clear definition. What does it mean to you, and how would you define it?
Yeah, I mean, there's instances when you're wrecked and you work hard to get your car back on the racetrack to advance ahead of other people that crash or break or pull out, so you're trying to get every point then. If you're protecting something, you can points race at that point, and maybe you give 98% instead of 100 in a situation, but I still think that's pretty rare, especially with the chase format at the end of the year. You need every point you can get if it's even leading a lap. So I'd say it kind of really fits the backside, and when you have a crash or some type of mechanical, it's important to get back out on the track to get every point you can then and kind of slow the bleeding down for that weekend.
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. Jimmie, I know you'd probably be the wrong guy to ask because you won the event last year, but the All-Star race, there was a lot of chatter last year about what they can do to change the format. You have any thoughts on that? That it's kind of been lacking a little bit in terms of last lap, last segment drama. Is there anything that maybe strikes you that they could do to fix that?
If they have us run the first two segments going the correct direction, and then the final segment we run it backwards. That's about the only thing we haven't tried. I mean, every year it's a different format, so I don't know, but that could work. Or we just run the short track, the small track, run the first two heats on the big track and then run the small track at the end. Or the road course. Hell, shoot us through the road course.
So is it beyond saving? Sorry to say.
I mean, it hasn't been from a lack of effort. I mean, I can't think of the 13 years I've gone and raced in the All-Star event that there's ever been the same thing each year. So, and I respect and I say all that, not trying to knock the track or the format, but we try. There's unfortunately a level of competition that there's some facts that the fastest always finds its way to the front. And we also know that the faster we go, the harder it is to pass. And Charlotte's a very fast racetrack, so the groove gets narrower and narrower. So there's some things we just can't overcome, I feel, unless we mix it up and run it backwards or run the short track. Yeah, and I mean, put some jumps in too. Let's really make this exciting. Figure eight's going to take some bravery. I mean, if I have to, I'll go for it, but I prefer to get airborne.
All right. Thank you very much.